Alright, where do you want to go next?
Put it on top of the, that thing.
Where do you want to go next?
We can go home, do some Legos.
Legos?
Yeah.
The fuck? Bruh. I'm sloshed.
Alright, well, you want to go to the arcade instead then?
Where's the arcade?
I have to map it.
Map it.
Okay. He's not that sloshed. He's fine.
Oh.
He's not sloshed. You're not actually sloshed, right?
No, of course not.
Okay. Just making sure. Double checking.
I'm pretty sure my name is Nick.
Because we are getting in a car right now.
Drunk driving is a felony.
You're not drunk, right?
Alright, where are we going?
That wasn't an answer.
I plead the fifth. Bruh. Bruh. Would a drunk person be able to say the alphabet backwards?
I don't know, try it.
I don't wanna.
Okay. We can Uber if you need to.
We're good, I'm just fucking around.
Okay.
But seriously, where are we going?
Well, I gotta find which pocket I put my phone in. I put it in here, I know it is. Can't.
You haven't checked the pink pocket yet.
Can you just call my phone?
Ah, call your phone.
Too many pockets.
What the fuck?
Too many damn pockets in here.
Bro, I want some ice cream.
Okay, well, go get ice cream if you prefer.
Nah, we should probably have dinner first. Damn, your phone's inside, bro? The fuck, bro?
I thought maybe it is over there.
How'd you lose your goddamn phone?
I thought I put it in my bag.
What the fuck, dude?
I'm confused.
Get out of my fucking car. Get out of my fucking car. Go.
Okay.
Fucking get out of my fucking car. We're going home without her, boys. Fucking disgrace. Fucking terrible, man. What am I supposed to do with her? Huh? Right? She left her phone inside? What the fuck? Huh? What do you have to say for yourself?
Oops.
What the fuck, man?
I found it.
Alright.
Careful.
I'm sloshed enough to go to A-Leaf.
Really?
Let's go to Chinatown.
Really?
Yeah.
Why, you want new ice?
I got some friends you need to meet.
What?
What?
Where do you actually want to go?
I have no fucking idea. You surprise me. Just plot something. This is a pretty part of town, though, man. I don't think... Where are we right now? Because this is like a... I don't even recognize this place. It's like fucking... what's it called? The Heights? Is this the Heights?
It's somewhere over there. It's Midtown.
Fucking Midtown, bro. It's so pretty. There's so much stuff.
It's not quite the Heights. Midtown.
Well, it doesn't live up to its name because it's more than just mid. Bro, I could do some pizza. Fucking yeah.
Pizza. Woo. It's not loading my damn map.
Alright, well, just drive in a circle until you find it. Boys, y'all enjoy the painting stream? I just wish the vibe was a little different so that I could talk more.
Yeah, more people would have been better.
Yeah. The music was too loud.
Yeah.
Fucking uptown girls.
Let's paint ourselves at home.
Yeah. Oh shit, I know where we are. We're almost downtown.
God,
now.
this fucking map isn't loading, Apple. Hurry up.
Alright, bro. Whatever venue I get to first is what we're doing, even if it's a strip club.
Here you go.
That's too late. I'm heading towards the strip club.
Just Uber home then.
It's the only place I know by memory. What?
You're so annoying.
I'm annoying?
Yeah.
Bro, I'm carrying.
You're not. You're embarrassing.
What the fuck?
It's a different ing.
Bro. Ugh. Woo. Red Bull.
They said you can go to the male strip club.
The fuck? Why would I do that?
Just asking if you could.
Why would we go there? It makes no sense. Ooh, it's the very famous Specs. The Smith Street one. That was aight.
Yeah. More fun, I think, if we did it at home.
I mean, we don't have the shit to set up at home yet.
Yeah, I know. Some in the future.
It's only fun if we interact with other people.
Yeah.
I also assume there'd be more people, but I guess it is a what?
Me
Fucking
too.
Wednesday night?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, what the fuck? That's this. Is that beer garden? Goddamn, dude. A lot of people coming out on a Wednesday night.
Spring break.
Oh, shit, you're right. Also, this map is not working anymore.
What the fuck?
FYI.
Ooh, careful.
Read chat to me.
You picked to go to a titty bar and you won't watch some helicopters? What? Oh, I guess it's male strip club. Fucking hypocrite. I hate this guy more every stream.
Oh, shit. Fucking haters, man. Fucking haters in the chat now. Fucking he hates me more every stream. So what you're saying is he never liked me in the first place.
Yeah.
Fucking... I'm a hypocrite? What the fuck? Keep reading the chat. What are we doing?
Said drama stream, sit in different rooms. I don't know. I would have absolutely loved that date.
What date? Oh, the painting?
I guess.
God fucking damn it. I don't even know what part of town I'm in.
You guys take me to the prom.
Prom?
I didn't even go to prom.
You can go to prom?
No.
Why not?
No one to go with.
What the fuck? You couldn't find anyone?
No one asked me.
Literally?
Well, except the weird diaper guy. But that was definitely a no for me.
What the fuck? How unpopular were you?
Extremely.
Fuck. Were you too much of a pussy to ask a guy to Sadie Hawkins?
I didn't like any guys.
Oh shit, you're into women then?
No. I was into anime.
You didn't even ask a guy to Sadie Hawkins?
No. Why?
Fucking what? I got fucked. Not
You got
literally.
at Sadie Hawkins?
Not literally.
Oh.
There was this girl I really wanted to ask me, and she was like, gonna ask me. But then another girl fucking beat her to the punch, and it was in front of the class. And I had to be like, I wasn't gonna go to Sadie Hawkins. And I was like, fuck. God damn it. Now I can't go.
Damn.
What are you supposed to say? No? Just be like, no.
Yeah, you are.
But I feel like, then you intimidate people, right?
Yeah.
If like in front of the entire fucking class, you're like, no. Damn, dude. If I could go back, I'd be like, no! I want this girl to ask me.
Damn.
Put her on the spot instead. Damn. That's how I should have played it. That was my out. Damn. That's how I should have played it. That was my out.
Rip.
Yeah, there's not really a polite way to tell a girl no, honestly.
Is there a polite way to tell a guy no?
Yeah.
What?
Sorry, I'm already going with someone.
But then what if you aren't? What if you're waiting for a guy to ask you?
Well, it's different because guys will ask you regardless if you say you're not going. Girls are all like, oh, I gotta take this cue. He's not going, so I don't want to like set myself up for rejection.
Sure.
I need to plan my day tomorrow because I got a lot of fucking shit I need to do.
Yeah.
Like a dozen pieces of shit to do.
Well, damn, that sounds like a lot of shit.
I mean, I didn't really get to finish much today. It was just start. Oh my fucking god.
What?
I keep missing the fucking feeder, and I keep. I give the fuck up. Fuck it, I'm gonna go the other direction. Just out of spite. I'm not gonna fucking do that loop a third time. Fuck that shit. Fucking terrible fucking road, man.
Yeah, it's pretty trash.
Sometimes, chat, you just have to break the wheel. Shit. Fuck, man.
Bam, bam, bam. You'll never stop working.
Us?
Yeah.
Yup. I like it.
Said ammo's a 9 out of 10, Nick's a 7 out of 10.
God damn. Fucking got fucked.
Yeah. Like a gunshot.
You know what? I don't care what rating out of 10 I am.
There you go. That's the spirit.
Oh. Alright, fucker. Let's do this shit. Read the chat, girl.
They're not saying much.
First time streaming or what?
They're not saying that much.
Then make up something that they said.
Okay.
Be like, okay, chat, maybe I will go masturbate. It is your job to entertain them to the level which they decide to speak.
no alcohol for Nick. Nick, be nice.
I was drinking non-alcoholic red wine. It's basically Hawaiian Punch.
Why is he such a bossy asshole all the time?
The fuck?
You want me to read chat?
I am a bossy fucking asshole.
Oh my gosh, how this dude ever got to be a millionaire?
Bruh, did you like fucking hit your head?
You know what would be fun? Line dancing. Okay, maybe even less alcoholic wine. Sheesh. Must have married a rich woman, lol. Teach us the wisdom, Lady Amaranth. Ha 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 ha. Sing a drunk song. Pushy, pushy, pushy.
I'm trying to push her to be entertaining.
Well, you know...
Look, clearly what you've been doing is not working. Is there any disagreement on that?
Hey, you wanted to let chat pick the activity.
No, I have no issue with that. I don't know why you're trying to make it a thing like that. When did I say that was an issue? I'm saying the whole pushing you to make it interesting right now.
Okay. You just wanted me to read the chat.
Right, but like, if they're not saying anything, then you gotta fucking come up with something to spur the conversation, right? Like, you're treating it like your chat is supposed to be entertaining you, and that's the opposite of what needs to be happening. You need to entertain your chat, so if they're not saying anything, then you have to say something that induces a response out of them. Right?
Alright, chat. What game y'all want to play at the arcade?
Are we going to the arcade?
That's where I mapped. You told me that's what you wanted.
Well, I didn't know where you actually mapped me to, but we're clearly not heading there.
Well, that's where the map is going.
Sure, but it's wrong.
Okay, well, I mean, I don't know. What do you want?
Whatever. Either food or fucking home, whichever.
Okay, well then we can go home. We already have food at home.
Yeah, don't be changing the subject and trying to fucking throw me under the bus, man.
I'm not doing anything.
I mean, you're like, oh, you told chat to pick activity. It's like, I
And
never
you said
said
what?
that there was anything wrong with the activity. I said, you gotta keep it entertaining. Like, it shouldn't actually matter what the activity is.
Okay.
Right? Like that's the kind of like the whole point of being an entertainer is that you can make anything interesting. Sure, some things are more or less interesting, but if you're just riding on the coattails of whatever the activity is, that's unsustainable. The skill has always been to pull.
I can use ChatGPT to answer that.
If you need,
you can enable ChatGPT on your iPhone when you're not driving.
If you need chat's commentary to be interesting, then you have to pull the right commentary out. Like, that's the whole job.
Okay.
Like, yeah, anyone can be entertaining if chat's saying entertaining things for them to play off.
Alright, well, we're going home now, so we can eat food. He can yap to his heart's content. Maybe we'll make some Legos.
Did you hear about the Nick and Milena drama?
Nope.
Apparently she's accusing him of financial abuse now. And she's suing for a divide of assets and or the whole financial abuse element.
Damn.
What do you think about that?
Well, if they were married, doesn't she get half anyway?
I don't know the specifics on, like, are they common law married? Are they, like, actually married? Did they get married here? Did they get married there? Was there a pre-dump? Is it reflect the value of the channel on an ongoing basis? Right? Because she wants half or more, slightly more, to reflect the fact that he gets to keep the channel.
Sure.
Right?
Makes sense.
But obviously he's fighting that. And so the speculation, and maybe there is financial abuse, but the speculation is that, you know, you got to play a little hardball to get the settlement you want. What do you think about all that?
I think she should get at least half because he's gonna keep streaming and she's not, and the amount of years that she's been with them, you know, she's been doing a lot of the content planning, getting the groups together, all that stuff. Like, she's contributed a lot, and he's taken her fertility, basically, you know, waiting around.
I don't think that's
a small fading
valid.
Well, it depends. I don't know if she wanted a family or not, right?
But like, if you choose to stay with someone who doesn't want a family when you want a family, that's on you, man. How could that be on you?
As you know, all faculty at Greendale are required to give extra credit.
I thought I shot you a response from this.
Is the number of successes in a sequence of independent yes-no experiments.
Like, literally, that's their right, right?
Sure, it is their right.
So then why is that their fault?
It's not that they're full. I'm just saying, like, it's kind of like
Well, you're asking them to have recompense for that factor. And so it'd have to be their fault for it to be recompensable.
She never wanted kids, he does? Oh, okay, well, this is the opposite then.
Right. But, like, either way, like, that's not a very valid reason. Because that's someone's, like, that's like saying, oh, you know, I took this girl home because she wanted to fuck. And then she decided she didn't want to, but fuck her, I'm going to fuck her anyways. Like, clearly that's not okay, right?
Sure.
And so it's like, if someone changes their mind, so be it. They change their mind. That's how human, you know, that's how, you know, that works. You don't get to fucking ding them for anything.
Sure.
So, like, that shouldn't be a factor at all. Like, her fertility, that's on her.
Sure.
Right?
Regardless, the rest of what I said is still true. She should get at least half. If she contributed to the channel.
On what basis?
What do you mean on what basis? I literally already said. Look, she contributed to the channel, she helped organize events, she, like, did a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff.
I mean, like, where do you draw the line on, like, this is half?
I don't know. I don't know what their assets look like, right?
Well, I'm not saying, like, you gotta guesstimate what half is. I'm saying, at what point does the line get drawn that someone deserves half? Like,
if they both contributed to the business.
Sure, but certainly there needs to be a accounting of, like, on what proportion, no?
Sure, but I don't know what that looks like, so I can't weigh in on that.
So the question is this, right? Like, his channel has been around since before them, right?
Okay.
I think. I'm not exactly sure, but, like, so if he had his own channel, does that mean that just because she starts streaming with him, you know, that she deserves half?
I don't know, because I don't know. I thought they've been streaming together, like, the whole entire time. I don't know.
Even so, like, is it really half because of her contribution, or is it half because Soda Poppin hosts them and is friends with them?
What does Soda Poppin have to do with any of it?
Nick Pollum used to work for Soda Poppin until, I'm assuming, Soda Poppin gave him his blessing to pursue a streaming career instead of working for him.
I don't understand what that has to do with him and Melena. Like, Nick and Melena.
Because if his audience is attributed to his friend giving him a leg up in the industry, does the girl deserve half?
If she was able to keep the content going on a daily basis, yeah. Like, I don't know for how long, right? I'm not an expert on the lore, so this is kind of a...
I mean, the idea is
if
this,
you're going
right?
to ask me all those things, I don't know.
Well, the idea is this, right? Like, well, you don't have to know the lore. All you have to do is be able to state, like, if this, then that. If this, then that, right? So it's like, if she actually pulled, like, the reason half the viewers were there is because of her, then she deserves half, right? That's one way of saying it. So if she didn't, you know, pull half the chat, then she doesn't deserve half, right? Like there you can still make statements of, like, what is fair and not fair, you know, without having to know the specifics of a situation, right? The specifics only muddle it. Theoretically, you should be able to figure out what it would be given each circumstance.
Sure. Then I guess, I don't know, if we're saying if this and that, then if she's contributed daily to helping the, you know, organize stream events, and I don't know, there's what do they do for
so
YouTube,
what you're saying
editing,
is that
whatever.
it's based on effort,
Yes.
not output.
Well, I mean, that's both for, how do you have effort without outputting anything? I don't understand.
Well, someone can put half the time in, but be, kind of responsible for less than half the output, right?
Wait, what?
Okay, let's say you and I are both, working a construction site, trying to, lay a foundation, right? I'm using an excavator. I work 10 hours a day. You're using a shovel. You're working 10 hours a day. One of us is responsible for the majority of the output, but both of us are working the same input. So the question is...
I don't get that. It's a team, so don't you get more done as a team?
Well, yeah, no, there's no question that you're digging with the shovel also helps, but just not at the same proportion as me using the excavator. You're trying to, perpetuate the I guess, fallacy that, like, if someone puts in 12 hours, they deserve half if 12 hours is half the work, right? It doesn't matter what their 12 hours actually produced. It's just the fact that they put in 12 hours.
Well, I don't know enough about their situation.
Once again, we're not needing the specifics of their situation. We just need, so you can say, well, if this is the situation, then this. If that's the situation, then that.
I don't know how to measure effort versus output now. You made it complicated, so I don't know.
No, it's pretty simple, right? If I had to guess, it would be that literally being Soda Pop's roommate, streaming in his house, that's a huge contributor, right? That's technically out of both of their hands, but I'm assuming that it's his friend that he was working for, and then Melania came along. But I don't know. If I had to think about it, I don't think half the viewers are there to watch her.
I mean, I don't know. Every time I've looked in, it was like they were planning a thing together. They were streaming together. I don't know. I don't watch Nick alone, so I don't know.
I mean, if Miskiff and Maya were married, does she deserve half?
I don't know, because it depends on what she does. I just know that Melania used to organize events and stuff. I used to do a lot of behind the scenes.
OTK. That's nothing to do with his stream.
What?
She organized events for OTK.
She did that before OTK existed. So that's not true, but...
Okay, what does she organize for him?
She used to help plan all the camp stuff, whatever, and I remember what his name was. I don't know, I'm not
that camp stuff was OTK.
No, it was that kind of stuff happened before.
It was literally
OTK.
called OTK Game Day.
No, that's not the camp stuff. It was before that.
Shit camp.
Yeah, that kind of stuff.
Sure, but why is that for him? That's for everyone in Austin.
Sure, but if they're the ones organizing it, it helps them a lot, things like that, not just that, but they also did breakfast or whatever, streams together, blah 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 blah. I don't know. Stop asking me questions when I don't know. I don't know.
The whole point is to try and figure out what would make sense. You don't have to know every detail to make, a statement of intent or value, right?
Sure. I don't know enough to care.
The more interesting part is not the specifics. It's, the system in which you think you should be able to arrive at the conclusion.
Sure. Well, we'd have to wait for her to present all the things that she's contributed to and weigh them against the output, I guess, or the results, rather. I don't know. I don't really care enough to get this deep into this discussion. What else we hear about? What other drama?
That's really it. There's a bunch of Destiny Hassan stuff, but I mean, I feel like that's the never-ending war.
Yeah, makes sense.
I mean, it's literally just, two guys who used to be friends and are from the same side of the aisle, politically speaking, not getting along because there's essentially a conflict for viewers and influence. But yeah, in my opinion, though, you have to just make a consideration of, like, does she deserve half just because they're married? Right?
I mean, not necessarily, but you got to see, you know, I don't know, she probably presents all the things she contributed with, so I don't know.
I feel like you're just wanting to take the girl's side here.
No, I'm sorry, I don't know. You'd have to see.
You've said that a lot of times. I'm not asking if you know. I'm asking for you to state for or against, you know, does she deserve half, does she not deserve half, given whatever.
I wouldn't know if she deserves half because I don't know exactly what all she contributed to.
I'm not actually asking you to weigh in on the actual situation. I'm saying tell me in what situations she would deserve half and in what she wouldn't.
If she's contributed almost nearly daily to the ongoings of stream, either on camera or behind it. Running social media, anything like that.
So just as long as it's daily effort, doesn't matter what that effort yields, you're saying.
I don't know how to measure that. I don't care to get into that.
Well, we're not debating whether we measure it one way or the other. I'm just asking you, does it matter?
Yes, I'm gonna say yes for the sake of it. You want an answer? Yes, it matters.
Okay. So then you would say that it's more so, you know, any measurable quantity of impact, not measurable quantity of input. Because there's a big difference, right? Like what someone puts in terms of hours, in terms of perceived effort, that's one thing, right? What they actually yield is another thing. Now, to decide whether you can measure that or not, or how you'd measure that, is a different question. But it's a very important thing to figure out, like, are you measuring effort put in, or are you measuring results coming out?
I don't know, because it's hard to weigh. If you take her out, are the results the same or not? You can't really say, so I don't know. That's tricky.
So you're saying that in any case where someone contributes, they just deserve half in case?
No. Because anyone contributing doesn't necessarily mean that they've contributed for years on the career and done stuff for the other person that they can't do because they're streaming.
Sure.
So I don't know how to answer you.
You really don't like challenging.
No, I don't. I'm not that type of personality. I don't like philosophical debates on, like, people's unique situations. Life concepts in general, sure, but I don't.
This is a life concept.
It's too much nuanced into, like, these specific situations.
It's only because you refuse to see it for the discussion that it is, and you're trying to go into the specifics and saying you don't know the specifics. Right?
That's because we're talking about two specific people and what they've done with their career and their divorce. It's a specific situation.
Yeah, and we're using it as a case example for outlining, well, what would you say broadly is, you know, how you should determine that. It could be anyone. It doesn't have to be.
I don't know. It's too much to think about right now.
You're getting real frustrated for something that's just a discussion.
Because I don't care enough. And I keep saying my opinion, and it feels like you don't care about my opinion.
No, it's not that I don't care about your opinion. It's that I'm, like, cross-examining the assumptions.
Okay, well, I don't want to be cross-examined.
I can use ChatGPT to...
Alright, this isn't fun for me anymore, so, you know. Like, you can either make content that's interesting, or you can just sit there in silence, but I'd prefer to try and make content that's interesting. Keyword being try, right?
Sure, but that's not
interesting. Keyword being try, right?
Sure, but that's not an interesting concept.
It's better than what you were doing, which was nothing.
Okay, well, chat disagrees.
Of course they do, because they're sucking up to you. Look, whether chat says A or B, it doesn't matter in this context. This is like
I don't know how to measure that. I don't care to get into that.
Well, we're not debating whether we measure it one way or the other. I'm just asking you, does it matter?
Yes, I'm gonna say yes for the sake of it. You want an answer? Yes, it matters.
Okay. So then you would say that it's more so, you know, any measurable quantity of impact, not measurable quantity of input. Because there's a big difference, right? Like what someone puts in terms of hours, in terms of perceived effort. Challenging.
No, I don't. I'm not that type of personality. I don't like philosophical debates on like people's unique situations. Life concepts in general, sure, but I don't.
This is a life concept.
It's too much nuance into like these specific situations.
It's only because you refuse to see it for the discussion that it is, and you're trying to go into the specifics and saying you don't know the specifics. Right?
That's because we're talking about two specific people and what they've done with their career and their divorce. It's a specific situation.
Yeah, and we're using it as a case example for outlining, well, what would you say broadly is, you know, how you should determine that. It could be anyone. It doesn't have to be.
I don't know. It's too much to think about right now.
I don't real frustrated for something that's just a discussion.
Because I don't care enough. And I keep saying my opinion, and it feels like you don't care about my opinion.
No, it's not that I don't care about your opinion. It's that I'm, like, cross-examining the assumptions.
Okay, well, I don't want to be cross-examined.
I can use ChatGPT to...
Alright, this isn't fun for me anymore, so, you know. Like, you can either make content that's interesting, or you can just sit there in silence, but I'd prefer to try and make content that's interesting. Keyword being try, right?
Sure, but that's not an interesting concept.
It's better than what you were doing, which was nothing.
Okay, well, chat disagrees.
Of course they do, because they're sucking up to you. Look, whether chat says A or B, it doesn't matter in this context because your viewership is in active decline.
I mean, it looks like the same as it's been.
Well, right now, I mean, if you miss the fact that we just did a bajillion collabs, you know, and also like a special stream that is outside the norm of what we did, sure, right? But I'm just saying that, like, call it a year ago to now, 2 years ago to now, any length of time ago to now, is it not down? What that means is that you've retained the people who are watching no matter what, and you've lost the people who, you know, care about, you know, the quality, the volume, the density, the interestingness of the content. It's adverse selection. You could do anything, however boring, however long, and you will have some number of viewers. But the whole point is that that number will be smaller. Right? Like if your whole point is that like one viewer is still a viewer, well then sure, you know, you win. Right? But if the whole point is you know, trying to seek what is you know, a sustainable community and to build an audience, you know, that will have its own culture, will have its own opinion, will be willing to challenge the streamer, will be willing to challenge the content. Well, no, I mean, that's a failing grade for us.
Well, then let's experiment then. You try to stream for a week by yourself, see if you can get the numbers up.
Oh, you're gonna play that game?
I'm not playing games.
No, that's fine. I can do that. And so during that week, do I manage any of the things that are part of your empire or no? You see, like you're asking me to be like, sure, go stream, but also like do all the other things that I need you to do.
I'm saying you don't have to stream all day, but like
no shit. But that would be. Don't you understand that it is an advantage? It's not like you're doing stuff for me and I'm streaming. You want me to keep doing stuff for you while I try to show you that I can stream, right? It's kind of ridiculous. Like, literally, you're taking half or more of my effort and applying it to your stuff, but you're saying, oh, but you can try it.
No, I'm saying lead by example. Like, the time we're spending right now,
Well,
you're not
am I not
managing
leading by
other
example?
stuff.
How am I not leading by example? Please explain. I'm literally leading the discussion, but you refuse to partake.
No, because you're saying that, like, I'm not entertaining.
No, I'm saying that,
like, well,
it's okay to not be entertaining, but you have to at least be able to take a cue from someone who is trying to drive it being entertaining.
Sure, but it needs to be a topic that I can actually, like,
well, you know, before I suggested a topic, you had every chance to suggest any topic, and you complained instead that chat wasn't saying anything?
Because you told me to read the chat to you. I'm just doing. I thought that's what you wanted. I'm sorry.
Well, if there's nothing to read, then you got to come up with something to say, right? Like, I feel like this is a very linear thing. Okay, like it's super linear, right? Like obviously, if they're saying something, then we will engage and try to, interact. But if not saying anything, then you need to drive that interaction. That's literally the job of the person doing the content creation, right?
Okay.
Imagine if you're like, I always ask my, YouTube chat or comment section, or my, live streaming chat, what my next video topic is, but they haven't suggested one, so I'm just not going to make any videos. It's like, no, you make a video, and then maybe, if you make enough good videos, you'll get people who are passionate about the content enough that they will give you...
You keep missing the turns, by the way.
That will give you content. Do you understand that?
Not really.
Which part?
Can you try explaining just a different way in general?
Do you even know what I said? Because I don't think you do. I think you're just not listening, and then you're trying to ask me to repeat myself. Give me a paraphrase of what I said then.
I can't tell you, to be honest.
So you just weren't listening?
No, I just can't follow what you're saying. So if I don't
what do you think I'm saying? You can't follow it. So
I don't know. That's why I'm asking you to say it a different way.
Give me one tiny piece of it. Anything.
I know you're frustrated because I told you that chat's not saying anything rather than saying something to chat to make them say something back to read to you.
That's absolutely not what frustrated me.
Okay,
what frustrates me is that, I'm trying to guide you to understanding that, like, there's not one right way to do this, okay? There's not one right way, but there are absolutely wrong ways, okay? If your goal is to build a community, is to, drive entertaining content, is to, learn how to make and do things that you want to do, but also entertain chat, then there are absolutely wrong ways to go about it, right? Like, there's no one set path that's the only way to succeed. But there's a lot of things that don't work. And the reason why they don't work, and I know they don't work, is because we've already tried them. Yeah? And so when I ask you, like, hey, read chat.
I'm so confused because earlier today you were saying that we're not going to write off anything. We're going to try stuff that we've tried before even, because...
Absolutely. But it's with intent, right? It's not literally just, well, this didn't work, so let's do it. No, it's like, this didn't work, but is there a way we can do it that is now more interesting, or more feasible with two people, who are in theory aligned on what they're trying to do? It's not do everything the same and see if anything's different. No, it might be the same type of stream. It might be the same activity, but we're not going to do it the same way. That's the whole point, right?
Okay. And I'm willing to try that.
Right, but like, you keep trying to pin it on me that, oh, I'm frustrated because, I read chat just like you asked me to. It's like, no. I said, read chat. You said they're not saying anything. I said, okay, fine. Then pull something interesting out of them or induce something interesting. That is the advice, right? But then you chose not to do that, and so you chose to make it a meta discussion about, how...
I didn't. I was just reading you the actual comments of what they were saying, and you didn't, I don't know, I guess you didn't like what they were saying or something. I don't know. I don't understand.
If you don't remember, like, let's not just pretend like, oh, I don't like what they're saying. Did I say that?
You keep getting upset.
So I didn't say that. Well, so what did I say? What I did was I suggested topics for us to, kind of go back and forth on, no? But you didn't like those topics either. So it's like, look, here's the thing, right? You either come up with a topic, you either pull, interesting commentary out of chat, or you go along with the topic that someone else has discussed. But, like, this goes back to the thing where it's like, it's easy to, complain, right? Very easy to complain. Way harder to actually come up with a solution, right? And the idea is that, like, pointing out a problem doesn't help unless you're also going to point out a solution.
Okay, you keep missing the turn to go home.
Well, it's because it's too slow at updating. You get what I'm saying? Like, you just get defensive instead. Like, and then you're like, oh, why don't you go start your own stream? I can, but you expect me to work on all your other shit too, don't you? Because if that's not what you expect, well, then of course I can do that. And then what are we measuring here? Whether I gain viewers, whether I lose viewers, whether I have more viewers than you, like, what are we measuring? Right?
I was just saying, like, take my stream then, and instead of me streaming, you go stream on your own and experiment with activities. Then you'll know, like, if it's me or not.
And what if it is you? See, it's...
Well, then you can be the main character. That's fine.
You're not making any sense, right? The point is, it is your stream. The point is, it has to involve you. Now, the question for you is, are you willing to put in the effort and actually make a notable change, or do you just want to go and do what's comfortable like we've always done? That's the real question, right? Because it's bullshit to be like, oh, we'll take the stream, and if it's better, no. If it's better, nothing happens. The kit contract is your contract. My face on it, your face not on it, doesn't help. $0. You get what I'm saying? Like, unfortunately, reality, the die has already been cast on that, right? The contract is the contract, the content is the content, the channel is the channel. None of that is actually changeable, right? And this thought experiment of, well, what if you go and do it? It's pointless. Sure, I could go stream for a week, a day, whatever. But that's a day that we are not getting any contractual benefit.
Okay.
Is that what you want?
Sure, for those days, yeah. If it's an experiment to at least test so we know the direction.
Does it really make sense to do that experiment right here, right now? Or even tomorrow?
In my
Just
opinion,
answer the question.
Yes.
Really?
Yeah, because if you're saying it's a me thing, at least we can solve the problem faster to know what direction.
No. Identifying a problem is not the same as solving the problem.
Well, it's a
What
step
you're
in the
saying,
right direction. You got to identify it to solve it.
Well, no. So that's something we can discuss now. If it is you, what can you even do? If the answer is nothing, then it's absolutely not the same thing, right? You see, if you don't even know what you would do, then you don't have anything except a way of identifying a problem. And I just told you that I don't believe it's worth it to identify problems that you don't have any lead on solving.
I don't think there is a problem, to be honest. I think you're making a problem where there isn't one.
How so?
Because, like, the channel is fine. Chat was having a good time.
What do you determine fine? What's fine?
I mean, we're not
Like
struggling to get by.
Well, but that has nothing to do with the channel. That has everything to do with literally a 2-year contract. You see, that's the thing, right? Like, if you're just talking about financially fine, well, then why would I bother doing anything at all? Because we're financially fine no matter what, right? That's not the point. The point is, and I've told you this before, and it's sad that you're still, kind of haranguing me on this, is that, like, I'm only going to put in the effort if you're willing to put in the effort, if we're agreed on
the whole thing was we were going to make content together, so why is it on the onus on me to be the entertaining
When
one?
did I say the onus was on you? Did you not hear what I just said? Do I need to repeat myself again on that? I just said, right, the only reason I'm willing to put in the effort is if you and I are on the same page and you're willing to put in the effort. You see, how is that just you? I just literally started by saying I'm willing to if you're willing to. That doesn't sound like a just
Yeah, I am willing to, but you're getting mad at me because I wasn't on my own.
I'm not getting mad at you, and you keep escalating my
okay, it appears that you are. So
it doesn't even appear that I am. It's just literally I'm trying to create any level of interest, spark, discussion, and you're intent on just obfuscating and saying, oh, well, we don't have the specifics, so it's like, bro, we've never had the specifics on anything. Other people don't have the specifics on things that they comment on that regard us.
What? Those are two completely different issues. One was you're asking me to comment on somebody else's life. The other is you're acting like there's a problem with the stream.
On what you think, something should be, using them as merely an example. I didn't ask you to comment specifically on them.
I'm so confused now.
I asked you, I gave you an outline of what their situation was. Then you made an assertion of, like, she deserves half. And so then I asked you to defend that assertion, right? And then you said you don't know the specifics. So then I backed out and I said, okay, fine. Then tell me under what circumstances, would a person deserve half? At that point, we're no longer talking about them. We're talking about, give me some broad strokes. What are some things that you would broadly consider to be pulling half the weight, right?
I
At
already
that point,
told you, though.
No, you didn't. At that point, we're not talking about them anymore, right? The discussion has evolved, but you're still trying to latch on to, but I don't know specifics. I go, that's why I'm letting you dictate.
Well, if we're not talking about them, why even talk about it at all? Because it's not a common situation.
Easy, because, anything that happens and it's newsworthy and it's in this space, which is quite small at the very top,
but I mean,
is worth
like,
discussing
sure,
on a theoretical basis.
That doesn't make sense, though. If it's a very
no,
unique
you're
situation,
choosing to not make sense of it. It makes sense. It makes sense. Literally, we're using a real life scenario as a catalyst.
It's not common enough, though, to discuss it on a theoretical level.
Oh, so we can only discuss common things theoretically.
I think that's one thing worth discussing theoretically.
Bro, you are living an uncommon life, right?
Okay.
If you want to discuss common things, we can talk about how we're going to make ends meet, how we're going to pay the rent, how we're going to save up to buy a house.
That doesn't apply to our situation.
Exactly. But their, contention, it potentially is relevant. That's what I'm saying.
What do you mean?
What do you mean what I mean? I just said what I meant.
I'm saying, what do you mean their contention? What?
Their situation where there is a debate, apparently, over what is considered, pulling half the weight, is relevant to us. In the sense that, what do you consider pulling half the weight? Right?
I tried to define it to you already, but it's like if she is helping...
No. You see, that's the thing, right? You didn't try to define it. You just kept going back to, I don't know the specifics. I'm asking for you to outline literally what you're saying you said, but you didn't say it.
I'm pretty sure I did, but I will reiterate.
Sure. What'd you say?
I said if she's helping with behind the scenes daily and also helping on stream too, because I know she was on stream with them, the content side, like whether that's social media or whether that's editing or that's like organizing events coming up with other streamers.
Let me flip the script, okay? We have people who do all that too.
Sure.
Do they deserve half?
Well, no, because they're
Why
paid
not?
to do that. She's not an employee. She's in a relationship with them as a business partner.
I'm pretty sure if they have an S-corp like we do, that they get salaries. You see, that's what I'm saying. Like, the salary isn't a definitive factor. It has to be something else.
Yes, but they're in a relationship, and the whole point is that they are like a partner. Like they are partners, and they make content together.
In our situation, I get a salary, you get a salary. Does that
right,
make
but
a
we
difference?
already have a post up, though, that defines who gets what at the end of the day, if anything were to happen.
Sure, but...
So if we didn't have that,
exactly.
I don't know. That'd be
there
difficult.
You go. Well, that's the thought experiment we're trying to do.
Well, yeah, but I don't want to think about that. That's
no,
so annoying to think
because
about.
You keep thinking about it as if it's a real thing instead of let's discuss theoretically what type of arrangement it should be, could be, it'd be fair to be.
I feel like I've already said if she does this, then she deserves half. But
right.
we don't know if she does or if she doesn't.
What I was asking you is, does the input matter? Does the output matter? And which one, if your
inputs are the resources, like fuel and labor, that go into the production of a good or service, while the output is the finished product that is the result of...
Thank you, Siri.
If you're weighing which one's more valuable, which one's less valuable, which one has more weight, which one has less. That's all that it is.
Okay. So what? I don't know what answer you're looking for here.
I'm not looking for an answer. I'm asking you an opinion.
Well, I stated my opinion. If she helps daily on behind the scenes, and
oh my god, dude,
if she helps make it possible for him to keep making content,
you cannot see how that's vague.
Well, yeah, because I don't know the exact situation, so of course it's vague.
Do I make it possible for you to make content?
Yeah.
Okay. Does the staff pick a person, make it possible for you to make content?
No.
Really?
No, because they keep leaving, and we keep going on.
Obviously,
so clearly
the ones
not.
that have left are not the ones I'm referring to, because that wouldn't make any sense.
Well, sure, they help a little bit, but they don't make it the entire thing possible, because we were doing it by ourselves before we had Red Staff.
Okay, so what you're saying is, if the person being removed or their effort being removed means the whole thing comes to a screeching halt, then they're worthy of half.
Well, no, because it's like, if they stop helping now, it doesn't mean that it comes to a screeching halt. It's probably not as productive as it once was, but it's some form of productive still. Just maybe not as efficient, or as, I guess, like
well, yeah, I mean, that's anyone, though. Like, I could leave right now, and you could still kind of
so that's why it's too tricky to really be worth discussing.
Only if you're droll and don't like to challenge yourself mentally.
But that's not the only way you can challenge yourself. Just because you don't want to, just because you think that you need to know more specifics about a unique situation in order to properly weigh in on it, doesn't mean that you don't like to challenge yourself.
The specifics of a situation might help you determine, you know, in this particular case, who might get half, who might deserve 40%, whatever, right? That could be true, but I don't care about their situation in that way, in the sense that, like, the court will decide that. Like, we will have an answer, or maybe not, but, you know, they will have laid out for them, you know, a split.
Sure.
Right? That's fine, but, like, I'm using it as a catalyst for, hey, let's examine the situation broadly. What determines, you know...
Why do we need to? I don't understand. We just said that the court's going to decide it.
If you keep changing the subject, need is a different thing. We don't need to stream. We don't need to do anything. We don't need to be... live right now, but that's a moot point, because we are, right? Like, so we can get into a meta discussion of, like, oh, we don't need to do this, we don't need to do that, why would you do it if we don't need to do it? Bro, there's like a bajillion things. You don't need horses. I don't need nice cars, you see, but we have them, right? And so the question is, you know, given that we're beyond the, you know, minimum viable thing, why is it such a difficult thing for you to just have a discussion?
It's
like,
not.
you have to be able to separate.
If I'm saying I don't know these factors and you're pressing me from one, like, I already gave my opinion on it.
Okay, you're just going in a circle. I know you don't know the factors, hence why I'm asking you. Fine, but, like, even without the factors, you can create a set of either guidelines or you know, like, guideposts that determine, right? Like, you don't need to know if she put in half the effort. You can say that if she put in half the effort, you know, then that's all that matters. It doesn't matter if she's not half the output. See, that's a statement. Or you could say, yeah, she put in half the effort, but, like, unless she's also half the output, she doesn't deserve half. You see, those are both statements, and you don't need to know whether she did or she didn't, but you can determine, like, if she did, then she deserves this. If she doesn't, then she doesn't deserve this. You see how I'm saying?
Sure.
It's like saying, look, imagine if I told you, like, you know, in a particular case where there's a, you know, heinous crime being committed, right? What would you call, you know, some evidence, you know, but not conclusive evidence, right? You'd be like, well, I don't know the specifics of the case. Sure. But we're not asking for you to weigh in on the specifics of the case. I'm just saying, in cases such as this, you know, what would you consider conclusive? Is DNA conclusive, right? Is security camera footage conclusive? You see, you might be like, I don't know if they have that. I don't know if they have this. But at some point, most reasonable people can weigh in and figure out, okay, if they have 2 out of 5 of these, I think it's conclusive enough. You see?
Yeah, you're muddling it too much. My brain can't handle that. So I'm just going to say, yes, if she put in the effort, and it can be shown that she did put in effort, she shows all the things she was doing, like, to a court, then yes, she deserves half.
So it's input, not output.
Yes, because it's different from an employee just being like, I was here for a certain number of hours, because being there doesn't equal that you were doing effort for all those hours. So if she can show the activity she was doing on a daily basis consistently, I think she deserves half. But
you know that none of that, what you just said, was output, right? That's all input.
Yeah, I know.
Well, I just asked you.
I'm just saying effort is... Some people define effort too loosely.
Sure.
They think they're putting an effort when they're not. So I want to be clear.
But we're not talking about those people. What I'm asking you is, so you're saying the only thing that matters is input, and the output doesn't matter. Like, if someone can put in only 10% of the effort, but they're driving 90% of the output. They don't deserve half. But someone who's putting in 90% of the effort, but only driving 10% of the, output, they deserve half.
I don't know. That's too complicated for me. Can I just choose not to answer? Because now you've made it so I don't know. Because now it depends on too much of what the output is, and we'll never know.
But that's the thing. If you.
Well, I'm not the lawyer, so I don't have to care.
So what I would say is this, right? Whether it can be measurable, whole nother question. But I think that what should be weighed more heavily is, output, not input. Because if someone, think about it this way, right? Let's think about employees. We have 2 editors, let's say, right? One spends 8 hours a day editing. One spends 1 hour a day editing. But the person who spends 1 hour a day editing, they're the ones who make 90% of the videos that we post. Now, would you say that the person who spends longer editing deserves more money, more recognition?
I don't know, because there's so many different questions.
The answer is no, to me at least. The answer is no. Because as an organization, valuing output will drive the outcome, right? Versus valuing input, you're just going to have people killing 12 hours a day, 16 hours a day, optically showing you that they're working really hard. See, the thing that I'm getting at here is this, right? Like, it's very easy. I could literally sit in my cigar lounge all day and say I'm working, right? And then when you go up there, I'm just shuffling papers like amaranth stuff, amaranth stuff, amaranth stuff.
Right.
Right, but that's a perverse incentive.
Mm-hmm.
You shouldn't want to incentivize someone to do that.
Right,
and
that's why I said depends on the effort they actually are able to prove.
But that's what I'm saying, right? Like, I don't think input effort is a particularly important thing. I think it's literally just measurable output. Because if I only worked 1 hour a day, but I still land you a kick deal or, a sponsorship deal or like a dozen other things, right? Well, then isn't that worth more to you and to the org versus me working 8 hours, 9 hours, but not?
Sure, but certain situations like that, like if she was doing deal flow for him, right, let's just say, and he was busy streaming, and she got lucky one day and was able to book this huge deal for him, right? Like, well, that's also not really fair because it's not like he actually was able to try. He was busy streaming. So it's not that she herself contributed effort in such a way. It was just the fact that someone was there putting out those feelers, and it could have been anyone, even himself, if he had had the time. So I don't think that's like a fair assessment either. So I don't know how you handle that one.
Well, luck always plays into it. But, like, at least the way the world is oriented currently, luck gets counted, and you accept that over the long run, all the luck will wash out, right? It's over the long run, all the luck will wash out, right? It's the same thing. Like, what's a good salesman? What's a bad salesman? What if someone comes in and they're ready to buy and they make a fucking big order, with the worst salesman that was on the sales floor? Doesn't matter. The salesman still gets the commission, right? Because the idea is, in 10 years, enough big, whale spenders will come in, and everyone will, occasionally get lucky. But over time, the people who are actually just better at sales will outshine the people who are merely relying on hopefully getting lucky.
Okay. So, like I said, she'd have to prove her effort or whatever to, I guess, a court. I don't know who you present to, judge, lawyer, whatever. I don't know. That's not my job. I didn't go into law school.
I didn't either.
But I don't want to think about all that. I'm just trying to chill.
That's a fine thing, but like the point I was making is that, is it input? Is it output? And you seem to keep saying it's input. And then when I point out, well, is this fair? Is that fair?
I don't know if it's fair or not. I would rather not discuss it at all because I don't care about these topics. Like, we can do something else. We can go react to the Destiny and the Dan Solomon stuff. But
okay, but if you're going to do react content, this is the type of philosophical...
No, because the other stuff is reacting to things going on in the world. It's not philosophical between, like, a man and a woman and their issues. You're just going to have to trust me on this, right? The ability to intelligently discuss most topics, any topic, anything that's relevant, that is a skill in of itself and has nothing to do with your interests or not. Okay, well, I gave my opinion, and we can agree to disagree on it. That's fine.
Why are you so defensive?
I'm not. I'm just saying, like, okay, I gave my opinion. And so now what?
Well, my whole question was, so you're saying that output doesn't matter, it's just input. You won't answer that question.
I think it both matter, but you're not letting me choose both.
Fine. But certainly we can. Are you saying they matter exactly the same? Are they saying one matters more than the other? Are you saying one matters less than the other?
No, I don't know, Nick, because I don't know their situation. I cannot say that in general. It's impossible because every situation would depend. There's no blanket answer because it's a very specific issue.
I'm not asking for you to say a blanket answer. I'm asking for you to.
I think both matter. You have to look at both. Effort and
sorry,
output.
I didn't quite catch that. Could you please say that again?
I think it's both. What's wrong with that?
There's nothing wrong with both, but like that's why I created the dichotomy of.
Yeah, but I don't believe in choosing the extreme of one or the other. I think both need to be examined.
I didn't say anything about choosing one or the other. I'm saying, so even in a case where someone is 90% of the effort, 10% of the output, versus someone who is literally the opposite of that.
It's typically never that way. Like, life isn't usually one way or the other. It's usually somewhere in the middle.
You see, this is the point I'm making, okay? I get you're saying typically life isn't that way, but I would also argue that typically life isn't like what we're experiencing either. So, like, one of the virtues is to be able to navigate the path less traveled.
But our thing, though, is what I'm saying. We both, like, in our situation, we both contribute to the business. All right, we've done that for a long time. I don't know what their situation is. I cannot say.
Well, so you don't have to generalize from them that you don't know. You can generalize from.
Okay, this is so confusing because you asked me a question about their specific thing, about their drama. I don't know. My mind cannot do this where I separate that.
Like I said, that's going to make it really hard to do React content.
It's not, because I can react to other stuff, and this one isn't even what anyone gives a fuck about. Chad is already over this topic, like,
well, it's because of the way you're acting.
It's not the way I'm
acting,
acting, Nick.
Distressed. Yes,
because
it is.
It's not something that matters. I already answered you.
If you were earnestly trying to have a discussion, then they would.
Why do I have to be earnest about this topic if I don't care, though?
The point is not whether this topic matters or not. It's whether, if relevant, you can discuss a topic even if you personally don't have a vested interest, right? The answer needs to be yes if you're going to be, like, it's very easy to just be like, I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to do that. That's fine, okay? But that is not... Last
time I gave my opinion on something, everyone tried to cancel me for it.
And yet, you didn't back down.
Right, because it was something that I thought made sense, and this is not something that I feel like I can make sense of when you're asking me to choose between this or that. So it's like, what if I don't think that I can decide, why would I need to choose on an extreme level?
That very situation is exactly the reason why you need to get better at this. It's because
in your ideal situation, what would I have answered? For you to approve of my answer.
No. Are you saying today or then?
Today.
It's very simple. I would expect you to actually be willing to commit to a position, even if it's not a position you necessarily believe in. Just for the sake of the discussion, you should be like, yes, I believe that effort means more than output, and here's why, and give a reason that is at least partially.
Okay, then I'll redo it. Yes, I believe effort means more than output because you'll never be able to go back in time.
You're raising your voice now, and you're getting upset. Can we not do that?
Sure.
Right?
I believe effort is worth more than output because you'll never be able to go back and figure out if was it all that effort that contributed to the output or not. You can't retest that, so you might as well just leave it as it is and count the effort in a situation where it's husband and wife.
So what you're trying to say is that because you find effort to be a measurable quantity and you find output to be a non-measurable quantity, that you can only go with the thing that you can measure.
Yes.
It's funny because I actually think it's the exact opposite. I think output's measurable. I don't think input is.
Well, then we agree to disagree on that.
Because input is just someone saying they worked really hard for 12 hours. Like, how do you prove that? Versus output is saying, look, I did this thing. Here is the result from this thing, right?
Because like I'm saying, she has to prove what she was doing in those 12 hours or whatever. Like, she has to...
For fucking 5 years, 6 years, 10 years?
I don't know how long they were together. Sure. All of it.
So you're saying that she gets half if she can prove she did that amount of work a day?
Yes.
Okay. And so the onus is on her to prove that she deserves half.
Yes.
So you're saying default is she does it until she can prove that she's half the effort.
What do you mean she does it?
Well, I mean, you just said she needs to prove it, and...
Well, yeah.
Well, so then if she doesn't prove it, she doesn't get it. So what I'm saying is that the default is she doesn't get anything, or she doesn't get half. She has to make the case that she gets half.
Of like the business stuff. I don't know what else they do besides that, because there's multiple assets to split in a divorce, so I don't know.
You're trying to use obfuscation.
If we're talking about the business, like,
yeah, total,
only the business revenue
I'm
type
talking
stuff.
about whatever you're talking about. You're the one making the claim. I'm just trying to
You're the one who brought up the topic. I don't know.
Yes, I know.
I'm just going with what you want, because that's all I can do right now.
You are making a claim, and I'm trying to interpret it. So the question is, what do you mean, not what I mean?
Whatever they are debating about the earnings of the business. That's what we're talking about.
So that sounds like an output argument.
No, I'm saying whatever amount of money that they're fighting over, if she can prove that she put in half the effort in order to create that much.
I'm hearing what you're saying, and I'm asking you if this is what you mean, which is, so you're saying that the default, the baseline, the base case, is she doesn't deserve half unless she can prove it. Because if it's the opposite, then you're not saying that correctly, right? If you're saying she gets half unless he can disprove it, that's a whole different thing.
I don't know. Do they have a prenup at all? I have no idea.
See, you're obfuscating here. Let's pretend they don't.
If they don't, I don't know. If it's originally his channel, he made it before he met her, and he was the talent on it, and she can't prove that she contributed at all anyway, then of course she don't deserve half. But if she has, and she can prove it, well, then there you go.
Right. So, okay, I can understand that. You're saying that she doesn't deserve half unless she can prove she put in half the effort. That's basically what you're saying, right?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, I agree with that 100%. Right? Because I will say, though, that is really hard for her to do. Right? Because it's way easier for him to say, like, well, look, here's my friend Soda Poppin'. You see? Here's where he shared my channel. You see? We gained fucking 100,000 followers.
Yeah, well, part of social media is also a lagging indicator, so it'd be really hard to prove on an output level.
That's what I'm saying.
The only thing
but
you
you're
can
saying
do
she does have to prove
is prove input.
Yeah, you're saying she does have to prove it to get her share.
Right, her input at least, not necessarily not the output, because that could be lagging. It's not always so clear. I know. What results equal.
But my whole point was that it is way easier to prove output than input.
I think that's the opposite. I think it's easier to prove input than it is output. Like, it's easier to prove the effort that you put in rather than the results that they directly.
Let me give you an example, okay? Like, the reason why I'm saying that is because if you create a very lax way of determining input, then both people are going to use that, right? So she'll be like, I worked 12 hours a day, right? Look, I have a log. It says I woke up at 8 and I started working and I didn't stop till 8 p.m. But then what's to stop him from saying I work 22 hours a day? Because all he has to do is show the same log, right? You see, that's what I'm saying. Like, while you're correct, it is easier to prove input. Both people can prove it, and then you're back at square one because now you have no way of determining, who actually has more input versus whatever, right? Output is a little easier to measure because it's like, oh, look, on this day, I got a sponsorship deal. They wanted me to do this shout out. They wanted me to do this stream, and I planned this stream, right?
Well, should that still be his input if he's the one who got the sponsorship deal? So I don't think that's...
That is, but the getting of the sponsorship deal is, like a measurable output. It's not an input. Input is them streaming and getting big and having a sponsor want to court them, right? Output is the sponsorship, the dollar amount, and that type of stuff. Look, no one walks around and just gets offered a ginormous sponsorship.
But it's like, if someone is answering sponsorship deals, that's their job. So yeah, some sponsorships are going to be worth more than others, but that doesn't mean the effort to answer the ones that aren't worth as much is less effort or less deserving of the work, because that's still part of the job.
Yeah, but here's the thing, right? This is the big debate between, do you, like, so look, if you believe that someone's just lucky, right? Like literally just, in most given situations.
Everyone is saying Angelica was right. I don't know about what, but
about us fighting, clearly.
Well, it's kind of a argument doesn't mean it's a fight.
Well, I know, but like they think that's true.
Oh, well, whatever.
That's what I'm saying. Like see,
I think she was just saying that like you're yelling at her. I don't think you're yelling at her at all.
No, that's not what chat's saying. Chat is literally saying that yes, we do fight. Because, you know, apparently a discussion like this is considered a fight, but I actually don't disagree with him in this case. Because you are acting like a hurt animal when it's just literally a cordial conversation. Literally, you raised your voice, I didn't raise mine. All I'm doing is using words to get across a point. And your chat is super biased, which is fine. It's understandable. It's literally your stream.
I don't think I'm acting like a hurt animal at all. It's not a stimulating I understand it's a stimulating conversation to you, but I just personally don't care.
I'm telling you right now that, like, whether you think so or not, like, the way you're acting is going to drive a negative outcome both for the stream and for their perception of me, which is fine. I'll take the L. I can go back to being the villain or the bad guy, you know. Sure, I can do that, right? I'm willing to take the fall, but like, you know, it's because you're unwilling to, you know, explore things outside your comfort zone.
That's not true at all.
Literally, it was a debate, discussion.
Yeah, but it's just not a topic that I care about.
Okay, so are you saying we can only ever do things you care about? Because in which case, I would bow out now.
No, that's not what I'm saying at all. I'm just saying it's such an irrelevant topic that it's like, who cares?
And occasionally we're going to have to...
It's just not interesting to
Occasionally we're going to have to... No, it was interesting until you made it clear that you were uncomfortable. It was outside your comfort zone somehow to have a theoretical, intellectual conversation about a thing. Like you kept saying, well, I don't care.
Well, I just don't care about this topic because there's too many things that I feel like you can't know.
There are a fuck ton of things that I don't care about that I still do.
Well, it's different because like normally on a React thing, you're watching a video, they're presenting facts, you're seeing opinion, you're seeing what actually happened. And this thing, you're just presenting to me when I don't know the situation. Yeah, it's frustrating. Like just if you're gonna present a specific topic, I need to be able to see the drama, facts.
It's okay,
first.
chat. Angelica was right. I'm a bad guy. You did this.
I didn't do anything.
Okay,
what
fine.
Do you
You're innocent. You're innocent. Let me just never be on chat again. Never be on stream again. Is that what we're doing?
That's not what I want. I didn't do anything.
Well, listen. I'm going to tell you something. Okay, if you want anything different, you're going to have to be willing to explore these things that aren't inherently interesting to you, right? Because over the course of time, right, if we do React content often, there's going to be stories that you just don't care about. Or
yeah, but usually it'll be we're watching a video, and that's easier for me to weigh in on rather than just presenting a thing to me, and I don't know any of the details.
You just say that merely because when watching a video, you have some external stimuli to point to. But the point is, if it's two people talking, it's no different.
Well, they were usually presenting facts about their specific situation. We're not presenting any facts to me, so I can't feel like I can actually react off of it.
I don't have the ability, right? It's not the ability. I don't have the wherewithal to be able to explain this to you in a way that you're going to be...
Well, we could just go watch a video on it. You don't have to explain. I'm not expecting you to explain it all.
You want to finish, or do you want to let me finish? Because you just keep interrupting me.
Sure, finish.
My point is that, like, I don't have the wherewithal to explain to you, okay, that in any video, in most videos, you are not going to get the full context either. That's literally not how that works. You're going to get a very thin slice of probably the most salient part of an argument, you know, for or against something. And you are going to need to use, you know, essentially basic principles to figure out, okay, fine, I don't have all the information. But if, you know, A, well, then this is how I feel about it. If it's B, well, then, you know, here's how, you know, I feel about it slightly differently. Et cetera, right? Like, that's how it's supposed to work. You shouldn't be like, I don't know if it's exactly A or B. It's like, that's not the point. The point is, what do you feel about A? And what do you feel about B? Then you can go and layer in, okay, well, I think it's more likely to be A than B, et cetera, right? Like, the point is, instead of saying, I don't know, it's like, okay, fine, you know, what do you know, right? What would make you feel that way? Like, answer the questions that can be answered, instead of just constantly saying, I don't know. Because that's not useful. It's not interesting. And, you know, yeah, I know you don't know, but that's why we're working through it verbally.
I feel like I gave my opinion on if this, if that, all that. You just didn't agree with it. When you don't have to agree with it, but it doesn't mean that you have to act like I'm not answering it. It took you
like an hour to answer the input-output question. Even though there is no right answer, it's just literally input or output. And then you're like, well, input. I go, okay, so input is what matters more. You're like, both matter. It's like, you see, you refuse to even answer, like, so then I even asked you, okay, fine, so you're saying 50-50. You go, well, it's impossible to tell. You see, you're trying so hard to squirm away from giving any kind of answer. That's the problem, right? Because I don't care if you said it's all input, zero output. Okay, I mean, at least I understand your frame of reference. If you say it's 50-50, okay, I understand your frame of reference. If you say it's 90-10, 10-90, okay, I understand your frame of reference. But in our discussion, and we can play it back if you want, it's literally, so you're saying this. You're like, no. So you're saying that. No.
Okay.
What are you saying?
Maybe that's just me. I don't like to give my opinion on this people's specific situation when I don't know all the... But it was because that's how you presented it to me to begin with.
Just because we started there doesn't mean the discussion has to stay there. And I've made multiple appeals to you to say that, like, we're not talking about their specific situation.
Well, then what are we talking about? Because this isn't a typical situation that, like, most people can relate to. And it doesn't apply, if you're asking about our situation, it doesn't apply because you already have a post up. So it's like, what are we talking about then?
Most of the situations that we're going to react to are not going to be relatable to regular people. Like, are you going to be able to relate to whether Hassan should or shouldn't buy a $2.1 million house? Right? Like, well, no, most of chat's not going to relate to that. Right? The point is, you can probably draw some conclusions, some notable thoughts, from your own frame of reference, but chat's not going to understand it. They're going to have a very, like, people are going to say, oh, Hassan should not buy a $2.1 million house. But then the counter argument would be, but he's in a part of Los Angeles where that's what a single family home costs.
Okay, I agree. That's not a relatable topic to the majority of chat. So if we are trying to entertain chat, why would we bring it up to begin with?
Okay, so whether you know it or not, most of the influencer things that make it to the drama, call it LSF, call it, Streamer Reloaded, call it whatever site or aggregator of news and drama and stuff you want, they're not relatable. Even XQC getting his McLaren stolen is not relatable. Most of the most interesting stories that exist in our space are not relatable because, okay, the biggest achievement is to make it relatable to people who otherwise don't have your frame of reference. That's all. Like, if you want to think about it, right, it's boring to talk about relatable topics because chat has already worked through that in their own life. They're not here to kind of plumb the problems that they face.
True. I think people like talking about relatable topics. So
no,
it's true.
It's true if you can offer them a solution, but I don't think that we necessarily can, at least not commonly. And so then it becomes, okay, fine. If I'm not going to be able to give you a realistic solution, or if there's not a realistic solution, then what am I doing, right? Whereas when we talk about these, outrageous topics that are kind of outliers, they're interesting because they're outliers, because they're so rare, right? It's the same thing as, like, you see an animal and you're like, holy shit, there's only like 200 of these in the wild. Why does that matter? You should be like, oh, well, it doesn't matter. I'm never going to see it again, so who cares? No, like, it's the fact that you don't see it often that makes it so much more interesting, so much more unique, and, like, you want to capture that moment or a photograph or, whatever. Like, you're making a case that, like, most people want to see most, like, regular mundane things. I don't think that's true.
That's not, but no. Wanting to see regular mundane things is not the same as bringing up a topic that doesn't apply to most people and expecting me to be able to weigh in on it without watching a video about the facts. That's like not the same thing at all.
In a lot of ways, what you're doing is you're trying to make it unrelatable because the core issue that we're talking about is hyper relatable. It's like a man and a woman are married, right? And however you want to spin it. Let's say the woman is the sole breadwinner and the man is the homemaker, right? Let's just flip it on its head. Okay, fine. What matters more? The woman works 8 hours a day. The man says he works 12 being a homemaker. Does he deserve more because his input's more?
Deserve more what?
Of the asset split because he has a stated higher input.
I don't know, maybe. Depends if she has kids or not that she has to take care of after. Like, there's a lot of things that go into it. That's why I don't like answering these because there's so many different factors.
Well, that's what I'm saying. We're exploring the fact.
We don't have to, though. That's so boring.
Okay. See, when you say we don't have to, I would just counter with we don't have to do anything. But the point is, if we're gonna do something, then we might as well put our best foot forward and do it, in the most optimized way possible. Because I agree with you there. We don't have to. Just like I don't have to do, any of the career-related things. I don't have to do half a dozen other things. There is no have to here. We're beyond have to. We're like light years past have to. Okay?
Right, but we can choose to engage in fun topics and do fun things and focus on positivity. We don't have to talk about negative shit that doesn't affect us personally and that no one else really cares about when we're not even involved in the situation.
Again, I asked you to come up with something. I asked you to, what's chat saying, what's interesting, and like you just basically blanked on most of it. And
because they weren't saying anything at the moment. Doesn't mean that they won't say anything. It just means that at the moment, in those few seconds.
And so you can't come up with a filler for those few seconds?
It doesn't. Not everything has to be a filler. You can have a few seconds of peace. It's like we're contemplating what to do next. We're planning it. We're routing to the next place.
You understand how your objection of like, oh, we don't have to. It's like we don't have to do anything. That's not a valid response for why we should or shouldn't do something at this point. Is that understandable or agreeable to you?
Sure, but like of all the things that we could talk about, why make it negative?
Well, that's the thing, right? It's your job to make sure that you don't make it hyper awkward and make your chat.
It wasn't awkward. We were all just chilling.
Look, if you want to do it on your own.
I don't want to. I'm just saying stop making this like an issue when there is no issue.
To me, it is an issue.
What is the issue?
The issue is that I am trying really, really, really hard to juggle all of these things. And it would be very helpful if you actually just made a conscientious effort to try and enable this instead of trying to poo-poo it and trying to fucking, get into a place where it's like your chat's going to defend you, of course, because they've been with you longer, they're loyal to you, and if you want them to dislike me, that's easy enough.
Don't want them to dislike you.
But I'm telling you right now, that is what's happening.
Well, that's why I said let's just talk about something else then. It's like,
we
don't need...
Instead of trying to poo-poo it and trying to fucking, get into a place where it's like your chat's going to defend you, of course, because they've been with you longer, they're loyal to you, and if you want them to dislike me, that's easy enough.
Don't want them to dislike you.
But I'm telling you right now, that is what's happening.
Well, that's why I said let's just talk about something else then. It's like,
we don't
need it. There's no need to talk about this. It's not a pressing situation.
I've taken a ton of L's for you, and I am keeping my lips sealed. The onus is on you to not make that, a one-sided thing. And right now, it's very much a you, of course, because they've been with you longer, they're loyal to you. Try and enable this instead of trying to poo-poo it and trying to fucking, get into a place where it's like your chat's going to defend you, of course, because they've been with you longer, they're loyal to you, and if you want them to dislike me, that's easy enough.
Don't want them to dislike you.
But I'm telling you right now, that is what's happening.
Well, that's why I said let's just talk about something else then. It's like,
we don't need it.
There's no need to talk about this. It's not a pressing situation.
I've taken a ton of L's for you, and I'm keeping my lips sealed. The onus is on you to not make that, a one-sided thing. And right now, it's very much a one-sided thing.
What do you mean you're keeping your lips sealed? About what? You're telling us exactly how you feel.
Do you really? No. I'm telling you how I feel about this particular topic, but it's not. Are you serious here, or are we posturing here? Because
I don't know what you're talking about, dude. What does that mean?
Okay, 2022. We could go into that, right? It wouldn't reflect well on you.
Well, yeah, no, I shouldn't have said anything, but it's like, yeah, I was frustrated in the moment. We should have had more sleep, and it shouldn't have happened. But that's because we were grinding too much.
That's not my point. Do you want to discuss it?
I don't know what you're wanting, man. Whatever you want to do, Nick. I don't have a preference at this point. I would just like you to feel better. So whatever we need to do that's great.
I mean, it's a very long discussion, and we should also talk about the whole issue that led to the tea thing, but you've historically said you don't want to talk about it, and I've honored that. It makes me look bad, but it's fine. I'll take the L. Are we going to talk about that? Do you want to talk about that? Because that changes the entire conversation.
What are you talking about, Nick?
You want to mute it? Or do you want me to say it to chat? You got to make a choice here.
Sure, I can mute it if
No, I don't want to. No.